The US and UK struck 36 Houthi targets in Yemen on Saturday, the second time they have hit back at Iran-backed groups in recent weeks. Russia says 28 people, including a child, were killed as a result of overnight shelling in the Ukrainian city of Lysychansk, which is under Russian control. Yemen's Houthi rebels released footage on Saturday showing military drills simulating the targeting of Israeli military positions. The clip is dubbed "Yemen is the support of Palestine" and shows Houthi fighters storming structures and simulating the arrest of an Israeli soldier. The US and UK struck 36 Houthi targets in Yemen on Saturday, the second time they have hit back at Iran-backed groups in recent weeks. The US insists it is not targeting Iran directly, as it tries to find a way to push back on attacks on US and international interests without escalating the conflict. Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani visited a hospital in Baghdad on Sunday to check on Popular Mobilization Forces members said to have been injured in US airstrikes on their positions near the Syrian border. Russia on Sunday morning said 28 people, including a child, were killed as a result of overnight shelling in the Ukrainian city of Lysychansk, which is under Russian control. 10 people were rescued from the rubble of a bakery overnight. Ukraine has not yet commented on the attack. Both Moscow and Kyiv have increasingly relied on longer-range attacks this winter. Both sides' positions are largely unchanged on the 1,500-kilometre front line. The war is nearly 2 years old. The Russian Defense Ministry released on Sunday footage of its air crews destroying 2 missiles in the South Donetsk region as part of its special military operation. On Sunday, the Russian Ministry of Defense also released footage it said showed its strike teams hitting Ukrainian armed forces positions in the Krasny Liman district.
Okay, the vote is closed.
The European Greens approved their manifesto in Lyon on Sunday. The document will serve as a common manifesto for all the continent's Green groups for the European elections in June, but it is also the roadmap for the next 5 years in European Parliament. It prioritises strengthening the Green Pact and improving social justice.
Le premier chapitre, c'est un chapitre qui demande un pacte vert et social, et c'est une manière d'expliquer pourquoi, alors que certains essayent de faire croire que l'écologie est l'ennemi de la justice sociale, nous démontrons qu'au contraire, non seulement c'est pas l'ennemi, mais c'est la seule solution crédible pour amener la justice sociale aujourd'hui et répondre à la crise du pouvoir d'achat qui est la préoccupation majeure des Européens aujourd'hui.
Another priority for the Greens will be to defend democracy and the rule of law within the European Union. They also want solutions to geopolitical tensions. The Greens have been working on this manifesto for almost a year. Speaking to Euronews, the Greens insisted environmental policy should still be a top priority for Europe, in spite of calls for a pause in the climate effort.
What I hear from both movements, NGOs, from companies is actually let's have an ambitious green transition. And if we do it together, if we really make the choice to do this, put it forward as a plan, private sector is along as well. What I hear right now is the right wing saying, let's put a break to the Green Deal, let's stop all the transition talk. But that's not what I hear when I talk to neither civil society nor the private sector. They actually want a plan that takes us forward and not backwards.
This is the manifesto the newly elected heads of the Green List, Terry Reich and Bas Eickhout, will have to defend. The party is confident they can beat the polls, which predict a difficult election for the Greens. Greek farmers protested outside a fair in Thessaloniki, widely considered to be a symbolic site that represents the agricultural industry. Hundreds of tractors converged on the site, with farmers demanding immediate relief from measures implemented by the government and the EU. They are protesting rising production costs and the financial impact of recent natural disasters.
Να κάνουν διορθώσεις στη νέα ΚΑΠ για να μπορεί ο αγρότης να καλλιεργήσει να ξέρει τι θα καλλιεργήσει, να ξέρει τι εισόδημα θα πάρει. Αν συνεχιστεί όλη αυτή η κατάσταση και δεν λάβουν μέτρα, ο πρωτογενής τομέας ξεκληρίζεται.
The Greek Prime Minister announced concessions, but the farmers say they are a mockery and are demanding more.
Είναι μέτρα τα οποία σε καμία περίπτωση δεν ανταποκρίνονται στα σημερινά δεδομένα και του τεράστιου κόστος παραγωγής και των εξευτελιστικών τιμών που πουλάμε τα προϊόντα μας, αλλά και των οικονομικών δυνατοτήτων που έχει η χώρα, γιατί βάζει το θέμα του εφικτού. Έχει χρήματα η χώρα για να στηρίξει τον πρωτογενή τομέα.
Farmers warn if things don't change, they will have to change jobs or even leave Greece to survive.
Θέλουμε πραγματική μείωση του κόστους παραγωγής. Θέλουμε να μείνουμε στα χωράφια μας, στα σπίτια μας, στη χώρα μας. Γιατί χώρα χωρίς αγρότες είναι χώρα κενή.
Protesters are also blocking roads along central and northern Greece. An assembly is due to take place on Tuesday to decide next steps on how to deal with the crisis, but farmers are unlikely to abandon their protests.
Λίγους μήνες πριν από τις κάλπες του Ιουνίου, οι Ευρωπαίοι αγρότες κάνουν την παρουσία τους αισθητή και κερδίζουν την προσοχή του πολιτικού κόσμου και της κοινής γνώμης. Στον αγώνα και οι Έλληνες παραγωγοί που υποστηρίζουν πως το υψηλό ενεργειακό κόστος και οι ακριβές πρώτες ύλες τους οδηγούν στην απόφαση να εγκαταλείψουν τη γη. Από την Θεσσαλονίκη για το Euronews, Απόστολος Τάικος.
The Swedish diplomat Johan Flöderus has been in an Iranian prison for more than 650 days. Flöderus, who works for the EU's diplomatic service and lives in Brussels, was detained in Tehran's airport after a touristic visit to the country. The EU believes he is illegally detained and is a victim of growing arbitrary detentions affecting EU citizens, also known as hostage diplomacy. His family tried to raise awareness in an event in Brussels.
I can see from the pictures now from his trial that he looks very different from the brother I know. I see there's like not really this light in his eyes. He looks much skinnier, very pale of course, since he's basically never going out. And I know that he doesn't get as much food as he needs, for example. And not to mention the pain it must be like inside to stand there. And like now he is accused for something where they want maybe to give him the death penalty. So I mean, and also the fact that he's alone there. We don't even have a Swedish ambassador at the moment in Iran. So
Flöderus has spent 300 days in isolation and is kept hostage in a 24-hour light cell. For the first 10 months, he could not contact his family. After several hunger strikes, he has now very limited phone calls, and in these almost 2 years, he only had 2 video calls. He is forced to do them in English.
as you can hear, my English is not fluent because I'm a Swedish native speaker, but we have to speak in English during those calls, and otherwise that's a demand from the other side. And also we know that he's being supervised and they will break off the phone call if something is said that they don't want to. So it's hard for us to know what is really coming from my brother and what is maybe, I wouldn't say forced, but I don't know.
Iran accused Flöderus of what they call corruption on earth and believe he has spied for Israel. The maximum sentence is death penalty.
He is an innocent man. That is also the fact I want to really say, that I don't think that anyone really feels like my brother has done those crimes that he is accused to. So this is about some big political game where my brother is being used as a pawn. And that is really, for me, something I cannot accept. And I don't think we as a nation or the European Union either should accept that.
His trial started in December and finished last Sunday. There is no date for the verdict.
They call it the Bronx. But this is not the neighbourhood of New York. It is on the outskirts of Naples, a working-class neighbourhood where, at the end of the 80s, 2 large public housing buildings were built hastily and badly following the terrible earthquake of 1980. After 40 years of waiting and 7 years of fighting for the construction of decent homes, today the inhabitants of the neighbourhood can finally celebrate. The dilapidated buildings will be replaced by new, smaller buildings with green areas, urban gardens and sports fields.
Abbiamo iniziato a porre, un problema vero, concreto alle istituzioni di dire a San Giovanni a Teduccio ci sono 360 nuclei familiari che hanno diritto ad avere una casa però dignitosa.
But the demolition could lead to the possible loss of the murals of Iorit, a street artist known throughout the world who brought beauty and identity to a place forgotten by most. Iorit painted the largest Maradona mural in the world, which is here in Naples.
Io sono sorpreso dall'incredibile affetto che le persone mi hanno dimostrato e hanno dimostrato soprattutto non nei miei confronti ma nei confronti dell'opera, soprattutto di Diego. Sono stato sommerso da messaggi, chiamate, non posso camminare, che qualcuno mi dice di fare qualcosa per salvare Diego.
Noi faremo in modo che la demolizione di questa parete venga fatta in modo controllato, in modo da poter recuperare tutte le parti che possono essere ricomposte in un luogo prossimo naturalmente a questo quartiere.
Io credo fortemente nel valore della cultura, dell'arte, dell'aggregazione, del sociale, quello che poi ci rende davvero umani. Quindi adesso che abbiamo vinto questa battaglia per le case, bisogna fare una battaglia per dire che dopo le case, dopo il lavoro, dopo il cibo, noi siamo esseri umani, abbiamo bisogno anche di arte, di cultura.
Questi due palazzi alle mie spalle, simbolo del degrado del quartiere San Giovanni a Teduccio alla periferia est di Napoli, verranno abbattuti per fare posto a costruzioni dignitose, adatte alla dignità delle persone che adesso ci vivono e che da anni combattono per dare bellezza al loro quartiere. Luca Palamara per Euronews, Napoli.